Hello there and welcome back to another review. So today we're going to be having a look at Super Mario Brothers the movie, made back in 1993 and starring Bob Hoskins, John Leguizamo and Dennis Hopper. Now this was a film I had the pleasure of going to see at the cinema back when it was released, or displeasure, depending on how you look at it and if you like this movie. Now let me get it out there right away. I actually liked and have always liked what they were trying to do with this movie, creating a more darker version of the Mario Brothers. And I think nowadays the film does have its fans. At the time, people, I don't think they really knew what they were seeing. I think as a kid, I couldn't make my mind up on it. I think when I saw it, I would have been 7 or 8 years old when I saw it at the cinema with my best friend at the time. We were so hyped up to see this movie. But I do love the idea of a much darker version of the Mario Brothers. I think everyone in the acting wise does a great job. I think Bob Hoskins plays a more than capable live action Mario. John Leguizamo was a great choice for Luigi, and the two work really well together. Them two seem to have some great chemistry going on. I think the idea was they thought the Mario brand was strong enough that they could be open to all types of interpretation, and the sky's the limit, really. I think that was the whole sort of way of thinking here. But like with any form of artistic license, when you stray too much, you alienate the people that are fans of your franchise in the first place. It's okay taking core elements and doing something a bit different with it anyway. But when, like Mario this time, there were periods in the past where Mario was more popular than like Mickey Mouse and things like that. When you take it to other places where the fans are like, what are you doing? You stand to alienate some of them people that are big fans anyway. The dinosaur theme runs through this. If any game they take the most from it would probably be Mario World is the one. Super Mario World is the game they probably take the most from in terms of themes and elements and things like that. So I can see where they was going with this, as dinosaurs were a big thing in the 90s. So if you remember the 90s when dinosaurs were just a huge big deal. You had like Jurassic Park, there was the TV show Dinosaurs, there was Denver the Last Dinosaurs, there was dinosaur magazines, you name it. Like 90s and dinosaurs were like just hand in hand. They were just everywhere. I think Nintendo during production were pretty much hands off and were sort of like, go on then, Hollywood producers, see what you can do. Let's see what you come up with. Go nuts. I think they basically just left them to it. I think the filmmakers' templates were pretty much sort of Ghostbusters, and maybe I think that I've read somewhere maybe the first Turtles movie, which is a great idea to look at. That there's two great films there to look into as like sort of what your sort of vibe and feel that you're going for. Make it funny, make it a comedy, but have this sort of dark theme running through it. And on paper, this really could have worked. And in a way, the film does. Work. And I think sometimes with a lot of movies, they're enjoyed so much more once all the hype has died down, once all the the media and the marketing has sort of died down, and you look at it, especially with like Mario Brothers, which is years and years old now. But when you look at it, 30 years old, but when you look at it after all the fuss has died down, you can look at it with a fresh set of eyes and like a fresh interpretation. And in a way, as I say, the film does work. I think people just get annoyed with this movie when they look at what it's based on. But over the years, the film has really developed a life of its own and has become a cult favourite to many. Rightly so. Interesting to note, I think Tom Hanks was one of the original choices for Luigi. But at the time, Tom Hanks was not a big box office draw. I don't think his films were sort of taken in the numbers, much like, compared to what they do now. But I think at the time, Tom Hanks was not a good box office draw. When was Forrest Gump? Like a year later? I think he'd done like Philadelphia around this point as well. I think as well, with the shifts in tone throughout the movie, it sometimes wants to be really dark, and I think the script was constantly being altered even through production when the film was being made. Wasn't at one point there going to be like strippers in it and things like that? Wasn't they going to have strippers? Like it was going to be bear in mind this is based on Mario Brothers, so I'm not too sure. Like with a lot of movies, this is very much a film of the time, and the fact it even got made along with like the Street Fighter movie and the Mortal Kombat movie, it just proved how big of an impact video games were having in the 90s. It was a real exciting time. Things were changing. Games were absolutely awesome, and like I say, like Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, Mario Brothers, it proves how much they were impacting people, how much people were fans of this, the fact that Hollywood was now waking up, right, well, let's make a film of that. That's what people are into. So it's just having on people that, you know, the lifestyle and that culture during that time of the mid-90s. I never ever hated the movie, and I actually love the dark tone. I have no problem with the performances. I've just always wished the film had, I just wish it had a bit more Mario in there. That's all I've ever thought about this movie. I just wish it had injected a bit more of that Mario DNA in there than what we got. I mean, can you imagine if they did this way in 2023 movie, like how bold, brash, and ballsy it would be, taking all the effects they can do now, like having Mario actually ride Yoshi, having Mario as an actor, and like Cooper Bowser as like CGI. If they were to do this again, but do this film again, like this script, but do it again now, how different it would be. And they would probably do so many things differently, like with all the effects they can have. Like I say, you could have a CGI Cooper Bowser, and you could have the Cooper Troopers, anything. It just needed a few more things, this film, I've always felt, to make it Mario-y, if that makes sense. It just needed a bit more Mario Brothers in there. They do things like that, but it's not as much as I would have liked. And there are points in the movie where you are a bit like, am I meant to be watching a Mario Brothers film? So they could have done a lot with that. So, because what they do here is everything is a metaphor. Fungus is for the Mushroom Kingdom, Big Bertha is a big woman, Toad is a friendly Goomba. It's all just done at sort of face value, just like in name only. But as I mentioned, I love the dark tone that this film was going for, and I can see what they were trying to do, and it was ballsy. It was really ballsy. It was, I say, very of the time, and I say I was so hyped for seeing it. And I'd say it's one of them films that has pretty much taken on a life of its own at this point. I think a lot of people watching it now. If you saw it back in the day, you look at it and you're like, it's not that bad. It really isn't that bad, and there is a lot to be enjoyed here. And to be fair, the movie does open with the Mario Brothers theme, so at least they don't forget that part. It does open with the Mario Brothers. And I remember when I heard that at the cinema, I was like, I was so hyped up, a bit like 7-8-year-old me. I was gone. I was just like, this is going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. So the film opens, and it's all about this meteorite that hit Earth and created like a parallel dimension. This random woman drops this egg-shaped container like an orphanage. A baby hatches from an egg, and it has like a special rock inside. I mean, you have to take your hats off to them. There is no way filmmakers would be this brave now. There is no way on God's earth they would be this brave in terms of the plot. We meet the Mario Brothers, who have struggling plumbing business, and we also learn from Luigi that some Brooklyn girls have gone missing. He's big on conspiracy theories. Scarpelli is their main business rival, who also threatens this archaeological dig that is sort of happening with this woman Daisy in charge. Iggy and Spike, Cooper's cousins, are after Daisy as they want the rock. And what gets me is, why have they waited until now to come and get it? Because it was Daisy who was the baby at the beginning of the movie who gets dropped off at the orphanage. Iggy and Spike, they've waited till now to come and get the egg. After all these years, I always found it. Even when younger, Luigi was given the love interest, not Mario. Luigi's got the love interest and Mario hasn't, which I always found a bit. Isn't Mario meant to be the one who gets the princess and everything? So Luigi and Daisy start to get close after meeting at a payphone, and they go out for dinner. Iggy and Spike have been nabbing loads of girls, the girls that have gone missing. But I say, if the Stones been missing all this time, that surely they must have been nabbing girls for years and years and years at this point, because like I say, Daisy's now fully grown. She would come with the rock and everything. But anyway, so they go out for dinner. And also what's weird is this scene, if you look at this scene, that Mario's changed. Mario, he's changed, but Luigi and Daisy are still in their stinking clothes that they've sort of been wearing all day. But Mario's got, he's dressed for dinner. But for whatever reason, Luigi doesn't bother. Even though he's going on a date with this woman he just met, he doesn't change at all. She doesn't change either. She's just there in her archaeological digging clothes. So she takes Luigi to the dig and shows him some bones, and Scarpelli's men sabotage the dig by causing a leak. Whilst this is happening, Daisy and Luigi run all the way back to get Mario to fix it. Iggy and Spike knock the Mario brothers out, and they take Daisy, who happens to have the rock around her neck. Then we have Mario and Luigi chasing after them, with Mario saying, "I'm going to break every bone in their body and kill them." Which is like, the fact that's meant to be Mario saying that, "I'm going to break every bone in their body and kill them." Yep, typical kid-friendly Mario going on. We meet Koopa, who is fed up being underground and needs the rock and the princess to merge the two worlds, because there's like two parallel worlds. One's dinosaurs, one's us, and he wants to merge the worlds. As she gets taken through, Luigi grabs the rock. They jump through this like magic wall and arrive in Dino Hatton, which looks nothing like out of a Mario game. But again, I could see what they were trying to do and go for. It's sort of like that whole Wizard of Oz thing. There's even elements sort of a bit of Blade Runner in there as well. So the rock gets taken by Big Bertha, and we also meet Toad, who's a busker. Mario Brothers get arrested. Daisy meets all the other kidnapped girls, only like about 6 of them, so that means for some reason they haven't been looking for the rock that long. As I said, the time span and the time gap there I'm a bit confused about. Toad fills them in, and that the fungus is their old king. So the idea is the Mushroom Kingdom fungus is their old king. Get it? You see what they're trying to do? Koopa introduces himself as Larry Lazard. And what gets me is, wasn't his face all over downtown like Dino Hatton with the word Koopa next to it? And he's sort of pretending to be somebody else, but isn't his face just like everywhere? Surely the Mario Brothers might have clocked that, like even just briefly. So he wants the meteorite piece, and like I say, I've never had a problem with the casting in this movie. They all do their best as they can with what they are given. I think Dennis Hopper, if you remember, like with Dennis Hopper, this was the first. This film, especially for the 90s, there was 3 films where he was like the villain. Speed, another big one, and of course Waterworld. So he wants the meteorite piece. Koopa takes Toad to the Devo chamber, which de-evolutionizes people into their dinosaur self. Then we see the Goombas, which, to be fair, I actually like the design of the Goombas. I think it's an awesome design, and I think a lot of people did and do like the design here. And I love how Koopa says they are loyal and stupid. I mean, why would he be proud of that? Why would he be proud that something he's creating who are there to serve him? He's proud that they're actually, loyal, I can see that, but he's like, and they're stupid. So I don't know, but as I say, he's proud of that. So the brothers make a break for it and escape prison in like a cop car. You remember the cop cars from the Mario game? You remember when there was loads of cop cars? Remember playing Mario 3 or Mario World and you just get in the cop car? Yeah. So the movie does actually hold up a lot better than you think it does, believe me. If you hadn't seen this film for ages and you remember watching it back in the day and it's been years and years since you saw it, give it another go and watch it and enjoy it and just go with it, because it's a good film. And like I mentioned, it just needed a bit more Mario in there. Wouldn't it have been cool if like the police used? Wouldn't it have been like when they're going in this police car? Wouldn't it have been so cool if like the police used carts or something? Just to think you could put a Mario. You could have had like, if they'd done it now or done this again, you could imagine like they could have had a Mario Kart-esque type scene. They say the police could have used like carts, and you could have had a whole homage to the Mario Kart there. Then we see the Marios doing their catchphrase, which is glug 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 or something along them lines. They do again. That's just their catchphrase. I've no idea what it means. Not sure at all. But I'm not sure why. And also, Koopa's got all these girls, right? They're not the ones he needs because he's after the rock. He's after Daisy. He only really wants the rock. But all these girls that he's nabbed, he doesn't return them for some reason. He's just keeping the girls there for like it serves no purpose. Him keeping them whatsoever. So his girlfriend Lena, played by Fiona Shaw, I've no idea what purpose she serves either in the movie. Koopa makes Spike and Iggy smarter in the Devo chamber. We learn Daisy's mum stole the rock and took her to the other side. Have to look out for the super scopes as well that Koopa and the brothers use at one point. The super scope. I mean, a friend had the super scope. I never actually had the super scope myself for the Super Nintendo, but I used to play it with my friends a lot back in the day. So Daisy meets Yoshi and Koopa and learns she descended from dinosaurs too. Mario and Luigi learn from Iggy and Spike that there is this chip of rock. If it's put back into the meteorite, it will merge the two worlds. All about this piece of rock. I mean, whatever, right? And it was basically Scapelli who blasted the gateway open. It's just, the MacGuffin is just this rock, and you need to put it in this meteorite to merge the two worlds, basically. Just go with it. So after escaping the desert, they go after Big Bertha to get the rock back because she took it earlier. It was at this point in the movie I was like, what the hell am I watching? Like at this point, I was like, "What the hell am I watching?" Like, I guess that it's about from Mario reference. I mean, I guess that was it for Mario references at this point. I was hoping it would just follow the game a bit more. I'm a lot easier on the film now, but at the time I didn't hate it. I was more just confused by it. When I was about 7 or 8, I was just a bit, what is going on? What is happening here? So we have the whole dance floor scene with Walk the Dinosaur playing, assuming people in the dimension, that's what makes it life. It's meant to be a different dimension, but they got the same music that we have in our world. It turns out they got the same music going on. The club owner phones to let Koopa's people know the Marios are there. Big Bertha helps them escape with the stomper boots. Luigi grabs a bomb, and they go to Koopa's tower, and Lena at the club gets the rock. Luigi's character is always optimistic in this, saying nothing is impossible. He's always like improbable, but never impossible. He's always looking on the brighter side. Koopa visits the previous king, who is like in this slime tube, and he does mention Mushroom Kingdom. So they are trying to inject it in there. So that's something. And have to love how the brothers get to the tower and are suddenly bam right in the basement, like they're just suddenly right there in the basement and just walk right into Koopa Tower. They mess up the heating system and get changed into their respective red and green clothes, which I don't even think was going to happen originally. I think that was sort of last minute. I don't think the filmmakers were actually going to have them in their respective sort of red and greens. They take the elevator, do their glug, 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 and so begins what is probably the standout gag of the film, the standout joke of the film with the dancing Goombas, which I remember at the cinema seeing this at the time, but people were laughing their heads off at. People were absolutely on the floor laughing at it. I mean, it was funny, but I wasn't like rolling about on the floor laughing about it. But yeah, it's probably the best gag in the film. So Lena still has the rock. Luigi starts the Goombas dancing. Notice as well that some of the decor in Daisy's room is like some of the castles from Mario Brothers 3. If you look closely, it's very. If you remember some of the castles, when you fight the Koopa kids and things like that. Yeah, in the castles. Very similar decor. Yoshi saves Daisy from Lena, who ends up getting stabbed. Somehow the Mario Brothers escape through the lift of the elevator, and they just go up through the ceiling. Iggy and Spike introduced Daisy to her father, and I've no idea how Yoshi got there, as wasn't he meant to be chained up, and then he's in another room as well. So Daisy pulls the blade out of Yoshi. Mario catches up with her and goes to rescue the other girl. He's like, be quiet, and he's trying to sneak them out, and one of the girls just shouts, Mario, as loud as possible, and he's like, he just told you to be quiet. So annoying. So Mattress they get on this mattress, takes the girls down this frozen pipe, though for some reason when they come out and they land on the street, they sort of float out onto the street. It's really weird. If you watch that scene, they come out of this pipe, but they sort of float down. It looks really odd. So Mario launches a stomper at Koopa, who falls into this like cauldron thing. I guess it was meant to be sort of like what is used in Mario World, what Bowser's in at the end of Mario World. Lena once again gets the rock, and Mario gets a Bob-omb walk in. Lena goes go back. Goes out back in the rock and gets fossilized. She goes to put it back in. She ends up getting fossilized back in the rock. And Daisy assumes for some reason she is the only one who can take the force to pull the rock out. Whatever. The two worlds start to merge, and Koopa uses a Devo gun on Scapelli and turning him into a chimp, which for some reason everyone there laughs at. Like, everyone finds hilariously funny. Like, Koopa's sort of invading our world. This guy means business, and everyone's just laughing that he's turned Scapelli into this sort of chimp. Daisy and Luigi pull the rock out, and the two worlds are merged. The Marios use Devo guns on him, reduce him to like a dinosaur, and then some slime. And this is where really, this is where they really should have tried to have him look like Bowser, just a little bit, just a tiny little bit. When they sort of de-evolutionize him, they could have really made him more Bowser-esque, but they don't, unfortunately. The King returns as Lance Henriksen. Daisy wants to stay there. God knows what happened to Iggy and Spike at this point. Toad, Yoshi and Daisy wave them goodbye, and it just ends with Daisy rushing into their apartment saying she needs their help. But I think, like I say, I like the darker tone. I just wish it could have had a bit more Mario in there, a bit more injected from the game. Sort of crashed through that. There was a lot to say. There was a lot to go through in the film, but just always trying to give you an overall view of the plot and what happens in the movie. But a film that, as I say, it's very awesome to watch it again. I've seen it a number of times, and I watched it again recently, and I don't think it's that bad. I can understand why a lot of people like this movie a lot more now than what they did. Now the hype has died off, and but it's still worth checking out. Great performances, and it just unfortunately doesn't hit every single mark that it's aiming for. But if you've seen Mario Brothers, let me know. What do you think of the original Mario Brothers movie? Did you enjoy it? Do you hate it? Do you think it's a travesty and all that stuff? But I don't think it's as bad as what people say. So thank you very much indeed for watching. Hope you enjoyed the review. I'll see you soon.
Don't concentrate on the finger or you will miss all that heavenly glory.